Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Walter L. Garrett, a family friend, and I'm so happy you stopped by today to listen to Miss Mabel DeLong Chapman's story, or whatever I can remember of it. Those beautiful chords. Oh, I'll never forget. Not ever. You see, I was one of the lucky ones who gathered at the DeLong family home on the corner of Bacon and Glen Streets. The house that is now the Chapman Historical Museum. We music lovers gathered at the home whenever we could to play our instruments. Oh, we were young then, full of energy, and crazy about playing those quartets. Mabel and her brother Arthur DeLong and I each played the violin. And our friend Bill McEwen, he played the piano. We were also deeply involved in the community, and we each had our own business trades. Mabel here worked at the
McMullen factory before I married for the first time to Mr. Harry Burnside Austin in 1905. Although we lived here in Glens Falls on a small street called Sumner Place, we had to move to Colorado due to my husband contracting tuberculosis and needed a drier climate. However, my dearest Harry, a well-respected lawyer, could not succumb to the influenza outbreak and sadly succumbed to the deadly virus in Durango. Still, the city of Glens Falls named a small street after him, close to where the high school stands now. After Harry's death, I returned back to my family home with our young son, John DeLong Austin, where I stayed for the remainder of my life. This was the home where my father, John Barker DeLong, resided. Long after my grandfather, Z.I. DeLong, and my father's eldest brother, Theodore, moved the family to Glens Falls from West Day, New York, expanding on the original farmhouse. They, along with many family members, became pivotal and highly respected members of the community. This was the home where my father died in, while the rest of my brothers and sisters dispersed near and far to live out their lives.
Mabel's home held a very special bond for many of us. Whenever we could muster the time, Arthur, Bill, and I would scramble over to the house with our instruments. We would yell in from the side door, "Anybody home?" And they would always yell back, "Come on in, boys, we're all here." Mabel's house was a home that held a special meaning of music and laughter, even during the days of Z.I. There are some people who still believe that ghosts reside there. Mabel wouldn't tell you this, but she was so gifted at the violin that she played many important engagements and was highly sought after. You could say that Mabel graced the embodiment of her family, who all believed in hard work and were bound by a special love and respect for their fellow human beings.
Why, thank you so kindly for those compliments, Walter. Well, eventually I remarried for the second time to the dynamic widower, Mr. Chapman here, who lies. Oh, he was the epitome of discipline, vibrance, and activity, both in business and in recreation. A whirlwind, I would say. You could still see the family name on top of the building on the west side of Glen Street at the Centennial Circle, where he partnered with his cousin, Royal J. Braden, to grow and expand their wonderful music store. Frederick graciously moved to our family home, where he and his youngest son, Sterling, born of his first marriage here with Louise. He helped care for my ailing father and helped raise both our boys. His eldest son, Harold, preferred to move after his mother's death to the family farm on Dixon Road, where William and Catherine, the boys' grandparents, lived and worked. Life is sometimes funny. You never know where the roads may lead you. I have always loved music, and loved playing the violin, so it's no accident that I patronized the Chapman and Braden music store. I had made sure that my public life was dedicated to promoting civic programs and supporting the arts in this area. So when I passed on, Frederick continued to live in our home as he loved it as much as I did. So eventually, he remarried for the third time. His new wife and subsequent widow, Juliet Goodman Chapman, made sure that our wonderful Victorian home would not be demolished by bequeathing it to the Glens Falls Foundation, with instruction that it would be turned over to the Glens Falls Queensberry Historical Association.
When it was announced that Miss Juliet Chapman turned the house over to the foundation, this old geezer was so happy that I co-wrote a letter with Bill McEwen to the Post-Star. That letter was published in the Post-Star. You see, it was so important for all of us to share the joy that the Chapman house forever remain a special place in Glens Falls.
Now, one word of advice I shall give to you. I lived a comfortable life here in Glens Falls, in summers at Assembly Point, but even so, I still died at the age of 59 from a stroke. We women have the tendency to ignore our health in order to care for loved ones. However, any doctor will tell you that more than half the women in this country now die from heart troubles or high blood pressure. Ladies, we are an exceedingly and increasingly important half of humanity. Please, heed the warning signs and take care of yourselves. I certainly wish I had. Music. Music has the ability to delight, to soothe, to heal our minds and hearts. I have seen it from my very own eyes, from my father, my grandparents, and from so many friends. So, listen. Listen to the chords that bind all of humanity. It's as if your soul can live on forever.
Thank you for visiting with us today.